It is either distraction or destruction. That is what Donald Trump's presidency is all about. He wants to break our government, attack our communities, make us scared so that we allow him to get away with the heinous crimes that he is committing. And to make sure he can, he tries to distract us. And both of those things are happening right now in Los Angeles, where Donald Trump is sicking his mass thugs on peaceful protesters who are speaking out against the ICE raids in their communities. And what is Donald Trump doing while he sets this country on fire? Well, what we're going to see he was doing, it's going to disgust you, because it always does. But before we get into it, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video and to support our work, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into what Trump's doing, I want some context of what is happening right now on the ground in LA with this local news report right here.
Cory, it's a surreal sight. This Black Hawk moved in just in the last few minutes from the Border Patrol, landing at that Homeland Security office on the Paramount side, right next to the Home Depot, and they are unloading this huge helicopter with, I mean, just boxes and boxes, dozens of boxes of ammunitions, less lethal weaponry. You see these tanks with flammable labels on the side, one after another, an entire shipment, as if they were getting ready for some kind of a major battle. I mean, it really has to be said, this is a remarkable sight in the middle of a suburban street here, where they are just unloading all of these weapons, carts full of boxes and flammable weaponry. So you can see that it just made its own parking spot there in the parking lot of that Homeland Security office on the other side of the river, where all of this is taking place, and just a few blocks from that Home Depot and right across the freeway from where that car fire was, just a few blocks away, and the protesters and Sheriff's Department had been squaring off. But this site here at the Homeland Security office of these federal officials unloading dozens of boxes of weapons and ammunition is just quite a sight to behold here. Something I really don't recall ever seeing here. Guys, back to you.
It says just so much how stunned that reporter is watching a military-style helicopter land in a city street and take out weaponry. This is insanity. And again, no shock here that Donald Trump's thugs, they're masked up. They're covering their faces. Why? Because they know what they're doing is illegal. They're not taking their instruction from the governor, as Donald Trump sends in 2,000 National Guardsmen. No, Donald Trump has just declared that he's going to be sending in the National Guard for no reason other than to intimidate. And he's doing it with rubber bullets. They're beating people senseless in the streets for no reason. This is absolute insanity. But again, it goes to serve two of Donald Trump's always end goals. He wants us to distrust the government. He wants us to be afraid. This is about destruction, but also distraction from the idea, and of course the story that he's passing right now, the worst budget in history, and also that he just broke up with his boyfriend. But that distraction doesn't stop with Trump. It's also Tom Homan right here.
And, you know, like I said many times, these elected officials or these non-government organizations, they can't cross the line either. I mean, we got people like, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees, ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families have been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters in my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives online every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested public safety, not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer.
Spare me the complaints for the ICE agents being doxxed. Yeah, they should have to identify themselves as they're attacking American citizens, attacking our communities. Tom Homan doesn't care about making anyone safer. Donald Trump is sending the National Guard. These ICE agents are attacking peaceful protesters. They're trying to cause unrest because they don't want it to be peaceful. They want to cause a spectacle so they have something to point at when they attack us even more. This is just the basis for Donald Trump to say it's a full-on invasion. That's what J.D. Vance has been tweeting all night. He's been taking these pictures from the crowds when he sees a Mexican flag and goes, oh, this is clearly an invasion from Mexico. It's time to declare martial law. That is their ultimate end goal here. And while they're causing all this chaos, while they're inflicting this pain on these communities, on people trying to enjoy a high school graduation, What is Donald Trump doing? Take a guess. What is Donald Trump doing? He's at a UFC fight.
Well, if you thought it couldn't...
Not that we'd ever expect our just evil president to ever actually be doing his job. And if he was doing his job, he'd probably actually be hurting the country. But of course, we catch him on camera, smiling and waving, mucking it up, having some fun at UFC, while people are being shot with rubber bullets in Los Angeles for exercising their First Amendment right. But it doesn't just stop there. It's not just that military-style helicopter landing. It's not just the ammunition that they're bringing, because Pete Hegseth is now making a shocking threat against the people of Los Angeles. I want to take a look and see what Adam Schiff had to say about what they're doing to his constituents. Pete Hegseth wrote on Twitter, "The violent mob assaults on ICE and federal law enforcement are designed to prevent the removal of criminal illegal aliens from our soil, a dangerous invasion facilitated by criminal cartels, aka foreign terrorist organizations, and a huge national security risk. Under President Trump, violence and destruction against federal agents and federal facilities will not be tolerated unless you're a January 6th insurrectionist. The Department of Defense is mobilizing the National Guard immediately to support the federal law enforcement in Los Angeles, and if violence continues, active duty Marine and Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. They are on high alert." They're threatening to send the military. They're threatening to send the military. That's what Pete Hegseth has escalated this to. Again, they're all just trying to escalate it. They're trying to intimidate you. That's what Adam Schiff was saying, and I want to take a look at what he had to say. Adam Schiff wrote on Twitter, "The Trump administration's calling on the California National Guard without the authorization of the governor is unprecedented. This action is designed to inflame tensions, sow chaos, and escalate the situation. If the Guard is needed to restore peace, the governor will ask for it. But continuing down this path will erode trust in the National Guard and set a dangerous precedent for unilateral misuse of the Guard across the country. Violence must stop, and we need to keep the focus on protecting fundamental rights. There is nothing Trump would like more than a violent confrontation with protesters to justify the unjustifiable, invocation of the Insurrection Act, or some form of martial law." I completely agree with Senator Schiff that we need peaceful protest. But the overwhelming majority, as always is the case, of these protests have been peaceful. And of course, they started peacefully until Donald Trump's masked thugs started shooting rubber bullets into crowds. Why? Because this is ultimately where they want it to go. They want a reason to do the worst. Senator Schiff is spot on. Adam Schiff is spot on. They need some justification, some fake justification that they can blow up, declare martial law. J.D. Vance is saying that because there's flags in the crowd of foreign countries that they're sending, they're worse. They're sending their military at us. J.D. Vance is an idiot. That's what they're trying to do. And AOC has been talking about this for the longest time. And I want to take a look at what she had to say because it rings so true today.
And now what DHS is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem. Because the people who are breaking the law are the people who are not abiding by it. And it is enshrined in the law that members of Congress who show up to ICE and CBP facilities are required to be granted access, legally required to be granted access. And they legally cannot be inhibited from accessing these facilities to conduct their constitutional obligation to investigate and conduct oversight. So if Kristi Noem wants to break the law, that's on her. But it sure as hell is not someone like Representative Robert Menendez that needs to be arrested, okay?
If someone wants to point a finger and accuse someone of shoplifting, they will be rounded up and put into a private detention camp and sent out for deportation without a day in court, without a moment to assert their right and without a moment to assert the privilege of innocent until proven guilty. Without being found guilty of a crime, they will be rounded up. That is what is inside this bill, a fundamental suspension of a core American value. And that is why I rise to oppose it. If you're a dreamer, all someone has to do is point a finger and you will be rounded up. And we have seen moments like these happen before. In the Patriot Act, in the wake of the travesty of 9/11, a fundamental suspension of American civil liberties. That is what we are seeing here today. Mr. Speaker, you may wonder why so many of our friends across the aisle who care so deeply about the rule of law happen to be so desperate to pass this bill, after they are unleashing people who attacked police officers here on this Capitol into roaming our streets, who are publicly saying now they want to get a gun. Suddenly, these folks care about public safety? I don't think so. Look no further than the price tag of this bill, $83 billion. They know that it can't be paid for. They know that the capacity is not there. And you know what will be there? Private prison companies are going to get flooded with money, who give this money, no doubt. I want folks at home to look. Look at what members of Congress are invested in private prison companies who receive this kind of money, and look at the votes on this bill. It is atrocious that people are lining their pockets with private prison profits in the name of a horrific tragedy and the victim of a crime.
I hope y'all can understand why my emotions are so high right now. I am so upset. I am so scared. I am so sad. All the members of the community in Los Angeles, they're just in my thoughts right now, because I cannot imagine the fear that they must have as Donald Trump attempts to inflict this pain upon their community. And to only make it worse, all the while he's hanging out at UFC because he doesn't actually care. It's gross. And some of y'all know I just got my wisdom teeth out. Stitches are killing me right now because I'm angry, but it's worth it. We're powering through because this is important to talk about. And I'm probably going to be reporting on this through the rest of the night. So if you want to stay updated, of course, you can hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way if you leave a like on this video and drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, might be pretty soon. I'll see you soon.